Hey, hello everybody. It's good to be back. I've had a few technical issues. Things have been very slow to upload, so there will be a couple of videos coming now. Looking at your requests, amongst other things, there is the issue of the dossier. Now, the dossier first was released, was it BuzzFeed, I think, released it. And of course, what the world latched onto was the Russian prostitutes. Frankly, I don't think that's the most interesting thing in the dossier. The fact that wealthy businessmen shout each other sex workers in other countries is hardly news. It's certainly not world-shattering. So let's move on from that and look at some of the other things that were contained in the dossier. Now, it was compiled by STEELE, who was an MI6 agent in the UK and now freelances. And he apparently says in the dossier some of the things are verifiable and other things were hearsay. But I'm more interested in the business dealings with the Russians. So let's see what's going on with the dossier and what impact it may or may not have on the presidency. Okay, so here we're looking at the dossier, the STEELE dossier. Will it impact on the Trump presidency? The dossier and the presidency. The dossier and the presidency. Let's see what is going on. Okay. Bang in the middle, the signifying card comes up here, and it's battles, being embattled. So with the Nine of Wands, with the Nine of Wands, it indicates not only a battle, but many skirmishes along the way. So my feeling on this is the dossier itself is at the center of much dispute, but the question being, will it impact on the presidency? As the signifying card, I would say yes, it is going to be one of many battles in this presidency. So I think it is significant, even if it's only in the court of public opinion. Yes, here we have the sun. Excuse me, I'm doing this in another location. I've got to get comfortable here. The sun, as we've discussed with these readings overall, this is the sun being shone on the subject matter, which in this case is the dossier. Coming up over that, the death card. This will actually play out to be very significant in the scheme of things. Yeah, I will return to the death card because obviously there's a lot to be said in this, and I wasn't sure when I started how big the dossier would be or not be, but I'm seeing it now as being quite significant, so we'll go into it in a bit more depth. Okay, underlying this, Ace of Wands, the willpower that is represented in terms of, I would take this maybe to be the willpower of those who are opposing Trump. I'm not 100% sure yet on that interpretation, but it is an ace. It is a quintessential power card, so it will be very powerful. This is interesting to me. It's actually playing a much bigger role than I thought. So if you look at, I'll just talk for a moment. I think Mueller's got plenty to go on if the dossier was never brought up. He has absolutely a colossal amount of material. So my feeling is this is more about opinions about Trump and his behaviour. Now, if you look at the morality of this president, I wouldn't get that hung up on the prostitute angle. It's more his morality in other ways. So if you look at his pattern of approaching married women, he admitted this in the Hollywood tapes. She was married. And apparently Michael Wolff's book gets more into this, that it was actually one of his buzzes was to try and have sex with the wives of his friends. Is there any lower this man can go? He is really beyond snakedom. He is just childish and disgusting. So there's the morality angle, but coming back to the Russian dealings, I think we're going to see much more come out financially in relation to the ultimate death of this presidency. So, recent past, quelle surprise, Trump. Yes, Trump, the death card, light being shone. I'm only just at the beginning of this reading. Oh, wow. Oh, look out, Donald Trump. The overarching card. Oh, look, you couldn't script it. It's going to be the death of him. Oh, my God, the death of him. This isn't, as we stress in general tarot readings, death doesn't literally mean the death of the person. But if we're talking about the effect on the presidency, the death of the presidency, oh, this is so exciting. Oh my God, if there's anyone out there who's stumbled on this channel and is looking for someone who's fair and balanced, it's not me as a reader. I do these readings in the light of information that is out there. And this is looking to be something that is going to really not only haunt Trump, but keep going one after the other after the other. One after the other after the other. So, this is going to be a relentless thing that will not let him go. All right, near future. This card's becoming a pattern too. The three women celebrating. Now, I don't think it's the Russian prostitutes, but I think by challenging the Trump presidency generally, I sincerely believe that women are gathering a voice, and that if Trump is impeached or has a heart attack or resigns or whatever ends his presidency, women will be rising up in a way that won't let the traditional Republican Party muzzle them again, and will not let the situation for women, the Me Too movement and everything else, it will not go back to business as usual. So I think that's my feel on why this card keeps coming up in these political readings. Okay. Now, because this reading is about the Dossier and its influence, it's in the position of the role of the Dossier. I think it's got the Chariot card because to a certain extent its momentum can't be stopped. This is what's coming out. Personally, I thought the Dossier would come and go. It's very interesting. Now, the Chariot. The Chariot, again, is a very no-nonsense card charging forth. It could be interpreted as Trump's blanket denials of any wrongdoing, but I actually see it as the flip of that. I see it as the Chariot coming for Trump in the context of these other cards. And, oh, I just thought, I don't know how closely you all follow this whole business, obviously quite closely. I think it's going to be people like Felix Sater, remember that name, S-A-T-E-R, who is a Russian who I think took out American citizenship but worked extensively with Trump, the businessman, before he was campaign Trump and before he was POTUS. And he worked on the Russian dealings as well as a lot of real estate dealings in the States. But in terms of the Russian stuff, we're talking about the Dossier. Felix Sater famously said, Donald, you and I are going to jail for these dealings that we've had very early on in this. Felix Sater. So I'm thinking that the chariot is coming for these guys in terms of these dealings. Yeah, the light, the sun, is being shone on these things they stole, basically. The rip-off card. They're always taking shortcuts, these guys. So this is crooked dealings. The sun is being shone on their crooked dealings. The environment of this reading and what's going on now. The Four of Cups. I think a lot of these guys are behind the scenes. They must be freaking out. I would not be surprised. I don't like to actually say this in a public forum, but some of these guys might actually choose to bail out. I'm talking suicide here rather than pushing on. I'm saying that very guardedly, but I'm interpreting this card in the more general sense of people being offered deals from Mueller, not being happy about the deals. Some of them have a lot more to lose than others, whether that's prestige or money or families or both. Or all of the three things. I get a rather dramatic feel. It's right under the death card here. Short-term outcome, there they are. I think whether they're talking to each other or not, I'm talking here about the businessmen who were in deals with Donald Trump, Americans who were in deals with Donald Trump. You've got the tough guys who turn their back on their emotions and will tough it out. This is more like a Paul Manafort type card. And you've got the others who are more like the George Papadopouloses and going to cave, or as Bannon famously said about Trump Jr., cracking like an egg. I think obviously they're going to react to this colossal pressure in different ways. And I think these two cards indicate the different ways these guys are dealing with what is going to be a lot of series of exposures. Further out, I suspect some are going to run. So you've got those who are going to get stressed and get sick and so on. You've got others who'll tough it out and stay, and you've got others who will be looking at the overseas option. They'll turn their back on some of the wealth they have here, but they'll be moving on. Yeah, the Strength card. So with this, which is a Major Arcana card, it is usually an extremely positive card about strength, but because it's crowded out by these quite dramatic cards and over Trump, although you could say he has some degree of strength, I see it like a card reversed, that it's going to sap his strength. This whole experience is going to sap his strength even further. Oh my God. Look, I'm going to leave it there because I've got other topics to cover. And I just think that was absolutely fascinating. I hope you find it as interesting as I did. So, for now, everyone, I'm going to go away, sort myself out, and do another reading for you. Bye now. See ya.